Your company competes with Microsoft. Interesting to hear from you. What is Nadella doing here? And is this conceding, essentially, the smartphone war? We lost.
You know, I always thought the acquisition was a little bit weird. I mean, in a lot of ways, Microsoft's operating system legacy was about making software that their OEMs packaged onto, you know, a plethora of devices made by a bunch of different companies. And buying a hardware maker was an awkward sort of market position to be in. They weren't quite Apple. They weren't quite Android. I don't think it really fit into Satya Nadella's vision. This happened before he became CEO. And honestly, a lot of us from the outside sort of expected this to come. It just didn't seem like a great strategy, to be honest. I mean, the biggest shock was, why didn't they buy Nokia's mapping division? You know, that's something Microsoft actually does care about. I always found this acquisition a little bit weird, and this isn't surprising to me. It's pretty consistent with Satya Nadella's new focus on software and services as the primary part of Microsoft.
And we're getting some inside details about just why they bought Nokia anyway. Sounds like Steve Ballmer really wanted it, Bill Gates, and Nadella himself actually argued against it. Daniel, I'm curious to hear from you. What do you think about the bold moves that Nadella is making? Is he moving in the right direction, and is he undoing some of the mistakes that Microsoft made along the way?
That's part of it. I mean, this is a headache that Nadella inherited. It's been a $7 billion head scratcher from the day it was announced. The difference between Nadella and Ballmer is that he's willing to make the tough decisions, cut the cord, wave the white flag. They're a software company. The core bread and butter is cloud and Windows. The last thing they needed is what I would almost call Nokia was a virus that was starting to infect the rest of Microsoft. They needed to quarantine it. That's what he did. Basically wrote it off, $7 billion plus. So I view it as a step in the right direction. And to start contrast what we saw with Ballmer, that would let these things fester, make mistakes, and really miss every social, mobile, and tech trend for the better part of a decade.
So, Matt, how confident are you that Nadella can execute on this plan, this shift to productivity, and sort of restore Microsoft to greatness and win in the places where it can?
Well, I still think he has to figure out a mobile strategy. I don't think this is an exit from mobile. It just highlights that it's not going to be about mobile handsets per se. Now, this is potentially a different story, applications, and I think maybe most importantly, how you manage and allow people to access and safely access the devices and the applications on them. But what I think he is doing is asserting his leadership more and more within the organization, and partly because I think
looks like we've lost McIlwain there via Skype from Seattle. But Bret, I mean, how confident are you that Nadella can bring this company back from where it's been?
Well, first of all, I think there's not a tech leader who doesn't respect Satya Nadella. He's really taken an extremely complex and large company and genuinely changed its culture and strategy. That said, I don't think Microsoft has proven that they can sell productivity software without owning the operating system. They haven't done that before in their company history. And that network effect between Windows and Office, I don't know if anyone really knows what one looks like without the other. And they're certainly trying to execute on that strategy, and they're doing it. They've released iOS versions, they're releasing Android versions, and they have one of the best enterprise sales forces in the industry. But I still think that he has a lot to prove that they can make one successful without the other.
So Daniel Ives of FBR Capital Markets, Matt McIlwain of Madrona, we're going to let you go there. Bret, I want to talk to you more about Quip, because you guys did announce some news today. You started this company as a mobile-first company, but now you're releasing a desktop version of Quip. Why? And is it to compete with the Microsofts of the world?
Yes, it is to compete. And I think the interesting thing for Quip is we've grown from about 10,000 companies using Quip about 6 to 9 months ago to 30,000 now. And our desktop usage has just exploded in that time frame. In January 2014, we were about 20% desktop, 80% mobile. This month, we're about 50%, and it's driven exclusively by business users, people at their desk in the middle of the day.
They're still using computers.
They are, and I really think it's not about being mobile first or mobile only. It's about having multiple devices that work really well together. So you can be at your desk, get up and open your phone, and what you were working on is still there. And working on these desktop apps makes Quip, we hope, the best productivity suite on every device, including your laptop.
Now, we hear a lot about companies like Slack, the valuation just going through the roof.
Yeah.
HipChat is super hip. Google Drive. Why use Quip? How does Quip stand out amongst the competition?
So we really think Quip is the way cloud software should work. Right now, if you are an IT department and you want to You have to choose between cloud software that's collaborative, like Google Docs, or legacy software like Word that works offline, and Quip accomplishes both. You can work offline or online, and you can work with multiple people at the same time.
I'm sure Quip is pretty hip, too.